Okay, now you have materiality, you know somehow what's this very broad sense of the SDG 9 mean, and then you have the materiality matrix, which is basically the key part of your actions, because you principal prioritization, you prioritize your targets, and then you set the goal. So you know what are the goals that are important, and then what are the relevant, what are the indicators that you have, and then you start integrating a reporting system for the SDG. So so you are crafting SDG in execution part by measuring this performance and implementing of initiatives that you already have. So you need to align the basically departments of the company together to understand what are the resources that's available to implementation of the SDG, and then manage changes and controls for like for instance for the cutting emission, you may have some sensors to measuring the actual cutting or cutting emission, or some surveys if it's relevant to this action for employees and other stakeholders. Then you operate around the business network. So you have a business network, yet then you need to get also approval from your network. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense, because if you have an approval and you share and collaborate for other stakeholders, you may also add some more like a disclosure or material issues into your materiality assessment. And then you start collecting data and basically see what are deviation and so on and so forth. With all of this, so if you go to the targets, to go to the material issues, to disclosure, goes to all value chains. This is not the value change. Maybe it doesn't apply with the very high-tech companies. Maybe it doesn't apply with the smart, like a startup high-tech company. But yeah, it has a clue. So you have to have a kind of all value chain. You need to understand, of course, what are your value chain, and then start with the designing and sourcing and producing. And you need to be sustainable. SDG 9, it should be embedded into design process. SDG 9 should be embedded in the sourcing and procurement. SDG 9 should be embedded in production, logistics, consumption, and other things. So it's not only saying that, okay, we have SDG 9 in the head of our CEO, and that's it. So in order to embed, so you need to go to the value chain, and then by basically materiality assessment, then you will be able to find out what are the material issues for designing process, what are the material issues for production, logistics. So basically this materiality assessment can apply if you're a big company to all departments, and then you have materiality issues which is important for business and stakeholders, and then they can go further. And then you can then you will be able to set business action for particular SDG target of 9. So like if you have the target, because you need to break down, it's not possible. If you go to the industry innovation infrastructure, you have not much clue because it's everything. So you need to cut down and then break down the targets into the business action. Promoting inclusive and sustainable industrialization. So then you have, for instance, a business action of the creating decent job, integrating environmental and social issues within core business operation. So it can be one business action for a company, or building partnership with the public sector, or working with NGOs or civil society organization. So this is things that comes basically step by step. It basically not comes directly, and also it can also, this is very linked, business action and disclosure. So you can also go from the disclosure side and then set the business action, which means that if you have a business, number 9.4 target of the SDG, which is basically talking about a greater adoption of the clean and environmentally sound technologies, you already have like economic value as part of that SDG, or as part of that as a material issue. So this material issue can be reflected into the disclosure of direct economic value generated and distributed. Or if you are going to the greenhouse gas emission, so then the disclosure can be greenhouse gas emission per net value added. And as you can see here is a relative target. So then you choose to go for the relative target or not relative, because here is also, so you basically cutting gas emission per net value added. So you put the gas emission or the context in the context relatively toward another variable. But this is basically it's up to the company. But either way is okay, but of course the absolute target setting is much better. So this is the way. So you have the targets, and then you have the material issue, and then go under the material issue, set the disclosure, and then maybe from the setting the disclosure, if you reported in the disclosure of gas emission, then you can also set the business action for a company in order to act some things for this process. And at the end, so all what we are basically, when we talk about it, so it goes to kind of integrated reporting, because you already have financial reporting in the company, and in order to integrate it with non-financial reporting, you have the SDG 9 reporting, which is already likely combined with other SDG, and then basically that SDGs or ESGs is going to be integrated into your financial annual reporting. And those reporting is basically reporting that can help you and your investor to understand what are the material for you, what are the disclosure that you are supposed to disclose, and also how we can further work on the particular SDG of number 9. Thank you very much.